Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from lovely, warm Cologne. My name is Mitch Leslie. This is Oliver Maxfield, and this is the WGL EU Season 1 for 2015 and 2016. Match Week 5, Day 2. We're past the halfway point in the season, and we've been talking about it off air even beforehand. Things are now really starting to take shape on the ladder. We're really starting to see these teams establish themselves on that ranking. Yeah,
at the beginning of the season, we don't really get to see much. I mean, we get to see the ladder kind of go up and down a little bit. And then now in Match Day 5, I think we're going to see teams cement themselves. I mean, I'm talking about Team Supreme, of course. And some teams, you know, they still have the opportunity to actually make it all the way up as well.
Absolutely. Of course, down the end with the lovely Melly. Now, Melly, things got a little bit out of hand last show day. Some interesting graphics coming up on my Twitter feed. I'm here to rein you guys in now, but how are you yourself feeling today?
It was absolutely beautiful, and I feel great. I love people sending us those awesome pictures and fan arts, and people keep on doing it. We love seeing stuff from you, especially when it mocks Ollie. But yes, weather is nice, good matchups today, and I really can't wait for things to start.
Absolutely, and just quickly on that, we will be drawing our winner later on in the show for last week's shenanigans. How devastated I was not to have been involved in those, although I did get my face on a few scantily clad swimmers, so that is brilliant. But speaking of the matchups today, let's have a look at what we've got coming your way. Of course, 3 games is the standard. Today's matches will be kicking off with Kazna crew versus noMERCY.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a little one-sided. I mean, noMERCY, of course, at the bottom of the table, and Kazna crew starting to head up the table in 5th place at the moment. VirtusPro versus Pentasports, I'm not sure. It really does depend if VirtusPro's on form.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting times for VirtusPro. We're not really sure about where to put them. They have played one less game than everyone else due to a reschedule, so we're still waiting to see them established. And of course, our last game of the night will be Ding going up against Utopia, which will definitely be one to watch. But ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look back at match day number 1 this week, of course, the Tuesday night, and see what transpired.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome once again to the WGL EU Season 1 Match Week 5. And starting that one off will be the one and only Synergy facing up against Ace. Vale's now joining in. Actually, Vale's looking quite aggressive here. It looks like they're prepared and great for crossfire coming in. Zamika is down low, but Winnie the Pooh picks up Vale, and the exchange goes down. But the 1390 and the 5100 was lost, I believe. And now look at Insane in trouble. 2 tanks to 1. He shouldn't be able to make it out of this, but Zamika is down low, but he does manage to survive. Bearing in mind, the LTTP just fell as well. The northern line is breached, and Synergy look like they mean business.
But he goes forward. Stalker finds the kill. Zamika also into Insane, and now 3 versus 4, 3 versus 3. They're back into this.
407 HP against 1.2k. It's not going to be easy, but there's a chance. There's a possibility, a slim one at that. But let's see what they can do. Zamika finds Alexander. That chance is becoming slimmer and slimmer, but Vale needs to land this shot. He does, but can he now pull together the rest of the pieces? Agorni's still alive, doesn't have a shell to make. Winnie the Pooh gets his head out of the honeypot and back into the game as Vale now 1v2. Has a little bit of HP to work with, but well, the reload countdown timers are now back in favor to Synergy. They miss one. Vale takes down Mihailov now. Oh, Winnie the Pooh denies any chance in the end. It's going to be Supreme up against Wusa, waiting for them to crest around the corner, but it's Applewell taking a beating. Look at that. Perfect positioning from Wusa. They expected this play, but can Team Supreme now pull themselves back in this game? Does. Great positioning as well. Wusa, player by player, is setting up a wonderful trap.
There's really a lot of damage going to Team Supreme. They're also kind of cornered in. You got tanks from every angle. You got the MX-12T of Cease just pestering Team Supreme from behind, and really they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
Supreme have nothing left here. They're down to minimum options. Sure, Phoenix took down Carvey, but Lion and Cease have done the damage. Ron's down, Captain's gone. Phoenix is a one-shot. Shanish is taking a beating, and does. He's going to pick up the 5100. Wusa are showing Supreme how to play this. They've just thrown it back to the classic style. Cease is doing some great work there. Shanish is taking a lot of damage, not just from him, of course, but from that 416 as well. The T-32 is being ripped to shreds. He doesn't have a shell to make, but Phoenix finds Cease, so removing a little bit of that pressure, but there's such a good crossfire here. And Ron just seems like he's doing almost no damage. There's not enough coming through from him to really break this sort of crossfire. But still, Supreme on 2.9, Wusa 4k, but look at that crossfire coming in. Again, Shanish now going down. Wusa's well set up for this.
The problem with Rufy in that T-32, he can just constantly do damage. He's Not got a lot of hit points to play with, but he's got enough that he can continually peak. He's hitting the side of the T-32's turret, hitting the side of the IS-3's turret, and now the Zenith and Hallucinant are going to try and clean up.
Of course it's going to be Shanish in these positions. We saw in Himmelsdorf how good he is when he comes into these sort of spots, but every single time he holds his own, he stays alive, he's that just brilliant nuisance. He's got one shot to make here, and I think he's looking for Hallucinogen. He doesn't need to get it. Phoenix will pick it up for him. The line is low, and Shanish turret turn gets the job done, and this guy is just so on point. It's crisp to watch, and a deserved win to Team Supreme in the end. There is still one more game to go. We still have Tornado Rocks up against Strong.
It's going to go straight forwards. I don't know. This actually could go very well for Strong because they're going to catch out Lucas Yessi straight away at the beginning.
Lucas just got absolutely destroyed. Tornado just not pulling any punches here. Sure, speed got down one. That T-37 is gone, but Tornado Rocks just absolutely firing on all cylinders into this map. This is insane for a start.
Yeah, they love this map. I mean, they've been playing it so many times this season. It's unbelievable. It's been one of their strongest maps, and they're doing certainly very well against Strong.
Well, we're going to find out soon, and there we go. It's Guccio to take down the Armageddon. Negative still in this one, doing what he can, but it's only an LTTB. I don't think he can withstand, but oh, again, Negative coming up with the goods. The Annihilator comes in, the other LTTB finds the other IS-3, and somehow we're back to a 3-on-3. 2.2k damage coming in there towards the Annihilator, and 2.0k HP left with Tornado Rocks against the 900 of Strong. Steroids is taking a beating, but Racing takes him out of there, saves the day, and now Positive waiting on that shell so desperately to make. He's finally going to have it just about now. The LTTB finds Wilson, and now Racing just left in a world of trouble, and somehow Tornado Rocks dig deep enough to pull this off, and Racing knows I can't do anything here, and sure, he does a little bit of damage, but in the end, Positive claims it, locks it down, and that's a 4-0 scoreline for Tornado Rocks. Team Supreme really starting to reign supreme at the very top of this league, and we'll have to wait and see if anyone else can challenge later down the line on Thursday. Hopefully, see you then.
Yes, well, now that you've seen our little recap of our last games on Tuesday, let's bring up the scores so you guys get a bit of a view of that one. And Ollie, I want to talk to you about this one because this was a bit of a night of mismatches.
Yeah, it was a pretty one-sided night. I mean, all the results, 5-1, 5-2s. You know, Supreme walked away with Wooster, especially after that first map, Lakeville. Tornado Rocks versus Siemka, very one-sided. Surprisingly how easily Strong Siema actually just slipped down that slope very, very quickly to the bottom, and they really didn't have any answer for them. And Synergy ASAP, the first game of the night. I think ASAP are a little bit lost in the woods right now. They need to find themselves. They need to get themselves back in the season.
All right, well, let's have a look at the ladder and see how that was shaping up after match day number 1 of this week. And as usual, Supreme sitting pretty up on the top. Virtus Pro down there about 9th place. We always seem to refer to them when we bring up the ladder. Of course, they are yet to play one of their other games as our dings, so don't read into that one too much. Is there anything here that's surprising you by now, or does it all seem about right?
Well, you got to remember as well, if 1 to 5th, they've only had really one loss this season, or a tiebreaker loss in there as well. So they're really doing very well. All those top 5 teams doing extremely well, performing on par. Strong Siema, they've had a couple of losses, but I know I really have to say that if they don't go on tilt, they're a great team, and I'm really enjoying what they're providing. I think some of the old dogs, though, I think Pentra and Wooster have a lot of work to do.
Well, I mean, they really haven't impressed us so far. Very up and down. I mean, with decent results against some of those lower tier teams, but when they're going up against the teams that they have to be beating to make it into those finals, been faltering just a little bit. But as we did say earlier on in the evening, ladies and gentlemen, of course, the first game is going to be Kazna Crew versus noMERCY. And Melly, the vote's already out to the people. We've got a big horde of Kazna Crew fans as always. And is that manifesting itself in the vote or not?
Absolutely. 100% for Kazna Crew for now. Let's see how it goes, but as you guys already said, Kazna Crew sitting pretty much on top of the table, 4th place, and noMERCY right at the bottom. So on paper, the ending is clear, but people, it's still up to you. So head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get in your votes. Predict the exact scoreline for the chance of winning a bonus code, and vote for your team just to see the trend of the community. And the trend, as said, is pretty clear, 100% for Kazna Crew. And if you have any questions, or maybe just want to vent or tell us whatever is on your mind, use the hashtag WGLEU over at twitter.com. And we also have a question from someone from the audience to you guys, but later more to that.
Sure.
And if you have more, as said, use the hashtag WGLEU.
Fantastic. And of course, if you want to know anything like what colour shoes is Ollie wearing, or am I wearing pants under this table,
you know the answer to that question, to be fair.
It's hot today, that's all I'm going to say, just a hint for you at home. Let's put this one on the microscope a little bit more, Ollie. Kazna crew sitting 4th or 5th, I think 5th at the moment. Going into noMERCY as well. It's going to be really quickly, I want a 10-second prediction from you.
I think Kazna crew are really, really good at the moment, better than they've been in any season at the beginning. I think it's going to be their game. All
right, well, Kazna crew are 3-1 in 5th place, and noMERCY are 0-4 right now, sitting in 12th. So, noMERCY, it's funny because their first game when they took it to Wusa was really impressive, that 4-5.
Yep.
Went to the tiebreaker, but since then, it's been a struggle to sort of rack up those rounds. So, be interesting to see what happens. We spoke to, of course, representatives from both of those teams when they came and hung out with us Cologne earlier this weekend, and both definitely seem like they were gearing up. We saw Snip, of course, from noMERCY. We saw Vetso, of course, from Kazna. Both teams are definitely ready to roll out. So, we'll be in game in just a second here as well. I mean, you can probably have a little bit more than 10 seconds here, but Alien is still...
Thanks.
I'm letting you off the chain a bit later, right? Alien is still top damage dealer in the league as well.
Yeah.
We saw him start off playing LTTBs and the such the first couple of weeks. He's now moved to those tier 8s. Do you think that's been a crucial factor for Kazna's performance here?
I think, you know, just on that point, before you moved on, is the fact that he's playing those LTTBs. I mean, that's really important because... You know, it's not just about putting your best player in the highest damage dealing tank. It's about putting your best player in the best position for him in the most important role. So we often see, you know, Hyber and Elian playing those two LTTBs when they're really crucial, especially on maps like Mines. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. And I think really, you know, LD Nexus now he's called, has been very impressive. I mean, he's been getting better and better every single season.
All right, well, it's time to say hello to our first map of the day. In a moment. Obviously, it's going to be Lakeville to start with as well. Yeah. That's why I kind of got a little bit excited.
Then Lakeville, we've got noMERCY on the defensive side. I mean, they've been playing a fair bit. They played 6 rounds already this season, so it's really been their map. And then we've got Ruinberg, where Kazna crew's on the defensive side. So, I mean, I like Lakeville. Honestly, I'm quite surprised how good it's been. I was one of the guys who's thinking, you know, Lakeville's a bit of a risky map choice, you know, especially considering it replaced Cliff. But actually, it's been okay. I mean... It's been a little bit one-dimensional because we've seen a lot of pushes over towards the right side. I'm not sure how that's going to develop throughout the season. But, you know, I think it's definitely, you know, becoming one of my kind of mid-tier maps, I think.
Look, last Thursday we saw it played a few times actually by quite a few teams, and we did start to see a little bit of push down the west side or the left-hand side of the map, as you can see it. And a lot of these really worked out. We found that there were some really great spots for teams to set up with cool crossfires and the like, so there's potential for us to see that kind of play. But as you said, Ruinberg, Kazna, it's always their map. They always pick that map. Generally, it works quite well for them, with the one exception, was when they went up against ASAP and actually went 2-2 on that map. Against arguably one of the lower teams. What contributed to that result?
You know, that was their last time they played in Ruinberg, and I was super surprised they went 2-2 actually. I mean, both the wins were on the defensive side, which is maybe a predictable result. Defensive side's more one-dimensional, it's easier to play. But I think they just got dismantled in a lot of respects. They tried a few things. ASAP were ready. They had a good lineup as well. And I think Kazna crew, they underestimated them. They went into the match, went on to the attacking side, made a lot of mistakes. There was, you know, quite a few issues. And then on the defensive side, when they could be a little slower and they could slow themselves down, they did a lot of cool moves. Like they put Elian in between some ruins, and you saw them all trying to take that bait. So it was a very interesting match. But I think you know, Kazan needs to be better on the attack.
All right, well, I've been chopping to get into this one in case you didn't notice, but it is time to start things off. Let's have a look at the video for Lakeville.
Lakeville, a big summertime map of mixed type. The map can be divided into 3 parts: the town, the canyon, and the road. The teams start the battle on the opposite sides of the town. One of the bases is located right near the defending team's spawn, the other one the bottom of the canyon. Attacks are usually executed through one of the flanks. However, the central pass is also very important. You can get great recon from there. Both heavy and light tanks are commonly brought to Lakeville.
All right, fan vote was 100% for Kazna crew. Ollie, let's see what we got here. Kazna in the red, attacking noMERCY, blue defending.
Yeah, so straight away, we're already 30 seconds into this battle. Both teams not messing around at all, just pushing to the eastern side, which is quickly becoming a favorite as noMERCY do go forwards.
All right, it's getting pretty messy over here, and you can see Ilian already fairly low and Isne low, but they are trading fairly well into this one. Vetso moving around the side of that church, but it's a full force push here from the entirety of noMERCY. Fasciita, Jamto gets chunked down by 1,000, making 1,260 damage. He is forced to back away, only firing one shot from that autoloader, and he goes down. That 5,100 out of the battle so quickly, it's really got to hurt, but the fire just keeps on coming. Snip did take down Hyper. Isne and Ilian are still looking okay, and Nexus is healthy. They've got to focus his fire, though, on towards these 5,100s, and again, Eurofish in the FP304 gets that finishing blow on towards that extra 5,100. It's 5v5, the health points are close, and these teams are still going at it.
I think a big problem is that FKK Schnitzel fell, and they got all sorts of tanks left, right, and center, but Eurofish is saving the day at the moment, takes down Lucky Blast, and keeps Kazna in the game.
This is intense. Vetso is healthy, and he's looking straight for a feat. That T-37 is not going to be any match for the T-54, coming straight at him at speed. He's going to ram him, he's going to push him, he's going to shove him all around the map until Vetso gets the finishing blow. And Snip, often a stand-in here for noMERCY, sometimes a sub. He was one of their representatives this weekend. He's going to be the last man standing here now. Isne is super low. It's a one-shot. So this essentially puts it into the an IS-3 versus a 54 lightweight and an FV304. Snip has to be very careful about this.
I think this can go easily well for Snip. I mean, I was always going to say that, you know, noMERCY had the IS-3 alive. Kazna only had the T-54s because they lost FKK Schnitzel in the 5,100. So, you know, he's got more HP, more armor, more firepower, more everything. And Eurofish and Vetso really need to play together to win this.
Great start by Vetso, gets a shot in towards the side of Snip. And Snip is just waiting to line this one up a little bit more, and oh my god, he's missed it. He hasn't managed to connect with it, and that is heartbreaking right now because Vetso has time. He's off his reload, and he can have a crack at Snip as soon as he pushes back around, but cleverly, the Polish star from noMERCY here has backed away until his reload has come back up, and behind the church, he's not targetable by Eurofish at this stage, so he's turned this 2v1 into the 1v1.
The problem is Vetso's got the better DPM in this situation, but, you know, if Snip wants to win this one, he has to get close to Vetso, he has to push forwards. He should have pushed forwards earlier on, just to get into a kind of a hull-down situation where he can continuously, you know, make Vetso, force Vetso to use the bad gun depression of the T-54 to shoot either the upper hull armor of the IS-3 or the mantlet of that turret. So I think this is going well now for Kazna crew. You can see Eurofish is moved or is moving to a position where he can shoot Snip, and Snip's game's going to be about, you know, keeping a real good map awareness of where Eurofish is going and also, you know, where Vetso is. And you got to remember as well, of course, Kazna crew on the defense, they can run away. They just need to keep an eye on the caps.
You're right, Snip really just has to split his focus, I guess, essentially between two different tanks. Vetso, you can see him on his screen now with 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the game, is making his way up towards the hills here, maybe even to put some pressure on towards that capture site 1. And the FV304 of Eurofish is making his way down the middle road. He's going to get a vantage point for a shot on towards Snip. As soon as Vetso spots Snip, he's going to be a radio his position back towards his arty play. And there's the shot from for Eurofish. Actually doesn't connect, but Vetso got one into the side of Snip as well. So it's a heavy tank out in the open. There were some buildings there, but Snip was exposing himself a little bit to Vetso there, and it's easy to spot on IS-3, especially in the open.
Yeah, and you know, Snip has blown all of his consumables. We've added the ability to see consumables in the game there. I have a little bit of downtime. You can see both the equipment they're using and also, you know, the consumables they're using and when they use them. So at the moment, Snip has only, of course, got his first aid kit in the bag here, so he's got to be careful. Not even a first aid kit, rations even.
It's rations, yep.
So he's got to be careful. You know, the IS-3 very easily ammo-racked, happens a lot. I mean, really one of the biggest problems. As Vetso just going for the charge.
That's it, and Eurofish, I think, gets his 3rd kill for the match. Great work from him, actually. It's really showing that FV is no longer just an outlier or, you know, something cheesy on that map. It's almost essential. He did such great work in the middle of the map. But let's go back a little bit. Let's break this down. We are obviously caught the very start of the, well, not the start of the match, actually. We're about 5-10 seconds in.
30 seconds in,
yeah.
So
when both teams are sort of going head-to-head there, I mean, what transpired? It looked like quite a mess of bullets.
I think the reason why noMERCY lost that is because they did decide to go forwards and go for the engage. I mean, to be fair to them, they had the 5100s, so the logical thing for them to do is use that burst fire as quickly as possible. Get a situation where it's 2 versus 1 or just focusing one tank down. But the thing is, the spread of the HP is very bad. You'll see for Seita there, push around the corner. He takes all the damage, and Jamato doesn't take anything. Oh, it's the other way around.
Yep.
Jamato takes all the damage, for Seita takes nothing. It should have been all those tanks there, Lucky Plus, Matt PL, for Seita, and Jamato, all peeking at the same time to actually go for the shots. That's the problem. There just wasn't good focus fire.
You can see a lot of the shots coming out from noMERCY as well were not focused onto any particular target. It's hard when you're pushing around a corner to find that same target as well. You know, even if your gun depression's not ideal or anything like that. So, you know, Kazna crew had the ability to sit back and just sort of, you know, the caller, I guess Hyper, who was there, would have just said, all right, go straight for the 5100. But let's have a look at the later part of the game where we had that sort of 2v1 happen. This is where Snip, he definitely had a chance. You said he can win this.
He should have gone right. He went forwards around the front of the church. Bit of a strange movement from him. You always should go for the higher ground. He obviously blows his repair kit, and you know, I think there's a lot of problems there for Snip. I think he, you know, was stuck in a 1 versus 1 situation. This is at the moment because Eurofish can't make the shots there. It just makes a few bad calls. Yeah,
and he missed the shot there as well. As you said, really important, almost very, very close range, something that you know, the BL9 can deal with.
But the problem was Vetsa was behind a wreck, so it was very hard for him to make that shot. And you know, this is the thing. If you think you're not going to make the shot, just go forward. You know, Snip had more HP, he could be more aggressive in that situation. He's never going to win that 2 versus 1 situation if he plays the passive game, because Vetso is so much faster. Eurofish will be there to support him, and Vetso's a guy who knows how to play the map very well. So he should have always been aggressive, keep the pressure on, don't let that T-54 run circles around him.
If there was anyone that was going to clutch that for Kazna crew, it was probably Vetso, if I'm honest. I mean, Alien is a powerhouse who will put out damage, but Vetso really keeps a cool head in those situations, and that was really impressive. So you were talking about, you know, trying to abuse that substandard gun depression of the 54 lightweight there.
Yeah.
Snip should have gone right to the high ground at the top of the church. You think that would have given him more of a chance? It surely would have denied Vetso the use of that wreck.
Yeah, he should have gone. I think he went for the... he was trying to see if Vetso was going to be running away or if he was going to be in the same position he was before. But I think if you're going to default to anything, always default to the higher ground. You know, even in a situation on Lakeville in random battles, that's around that church is never a good position to be. Sure. You always want to be on the right side because you can take damage from a lot more positions. It's more open. It's easier to hit from a lot of angles. So, I mean, to be fair to Snip, not the reason why his team lost then. I think, again, the AMX 5100s, which look amazing in those new HD skins as well, look really cool. I think some bad communication there. I think if you want to push and try and, you know, be in a situation where overmatching, don't overmatch with just the 250 and 100s, even though that's, you know, the logical choice. Use all 4 tanks there. They had 5. They could have gone 5 versus 4. They didn't, and that's why they lost.
And almost the standard for 5100s and using them in these games as well is try and get at least 1 clip out. Yeah. 1 clip connecting, and you'll be laughing, you know what I mean? We saw, I think it was Yamto actually took 1300 damage off the bat. Before he died, he got 1 shot out of the autoloader. And at the end of the day, it was really close in health points. If you look at what we had Snip and Vetso and Eurofish, you know, you got to ask yourself, of course you can't blame yourself for everything, but if those 5100s had been able to let those shots go and put some more damage across the board, it could have been an entirely different story. But there's another opportunity, of course, here for noMERCY to make it happen. I'd like to see something a little bit different than pushing in towards the middle of the city, though, Ollie. Let's see if that is going to be the case.
Yeah, I think it's going to be changed up a little bit here for noMERCY. I think they realize that maybe Kazna crew have the advantage in their firefighting ability. So they are going to go all the way over towards the left side. This is a standard kind of defensive movement from teams on Lakeville. So trying to get the higher ground, you know, setting up for a position where they can actually defend that eastern cap. A little strange that they put a tier 8 here. I mean, we've seen tier 6s here aplenty. But tier 8 is going to be placed there. Also interesting to note is that noMERCY is picking up the FV304. So, you know, hasn't worked out that well for a lot of teams, but, you know, does give you that kind of random element of being able to decap in pretty much any situation on the map.
Yeah, you've got Rafik and Nevi there in the T32. Not the best vantage point for Nevi because despite the good gun depression on the T32, he still needs to roll over and crest that hill to actually get his gun down. So be interesting to see if he really stays there for that long. And on his screen, of course, is LD Nexus, the Bosnian fireball from Kazna crew. Watch him set up towards the middle of the river here. And this
Bosnian? He's German, isn't he?
LD Nexus is Bosnian.
Is he?
Yep. He's got the blue flag with the yellow triangle on there, mate. Bosnian. Get wrecked.
All right.
Expert.
I thought he was German.
Don't know. I think he lives in Germany, but he's like he has the Bosnian flag on his shoulder. Anyway, he can correct me if I'm wrong. So you've got this set up here as well. We've seen this before, except some teams aren't maybe committing so many tanks to it in the defensive sense. How do Kazna crew go up against this? Do they need to try something different? Can they realistically push into this double IS-3 50-100 combination?
I don't think so, especially with the FV304. But then again, you know, it does give noMERCY one disadvantage, because Kazna crew will just be able to push into them. And if they take these three tanks down in one very quick, decisive movement, there's no one up and towards the western side to actually defend. Normally you see a team with like the 416 sitting up in J3-4 area, and that really provides a lot of firepower to pushing tanks to the right side. But as you've seen, you know, a lot of blind shots going on to Jamato, as again, you know, he's playing that big 2-5-1, which isn't doing him any favors.
Not right now. No, he's been chunked down with very little response, if I'm honest. Now Elian soaking up some shots and putting some over towards Matt PL as well. He will take one hit there at least, and you can see the damage coming in towards the city. But oh, Eurofish there. Nice work. Gets a track on towards Neve. He's going to slow the advance of this column of heavy tanks being pushed in by noMERCY. Elian will be the first line of defense. Then Yizne, then FKK Schnitzel. He does have that auto loader there as well. He's going to be ready to let that go at any moment. But Elian does drop down. The combined force of those heavies is going to push him right over. And FKK Schnitzel going to back away. So is Yizne. Hyber is trying to come up and defend here. And Kazna crew, the health points are in the balance. It's super close, and they know they need to bring some reinforcements in. And Rafik gets the killing blow on towards FKK Schnitzel. noMERCY coming forward with confidence.
Yeah, really doing a good job now. Snip taking some damage though. Jamato finally gets out of the fight, but he did take a lot earlier on, so it won't be hard for Hyber to clean up playing that T54, but still going quite well for noMERCY. I mean, they pushed forwards, very aggressive, caught Kazna crew a little bit by surprise, and really they're left to try and pick up the pieces. Snip
is a one-shot though on Vetso. Going to have to be quick if he wants to pick him up, and that's the second time that Snip has been unable to connect one of those really important shots, but Nevi blocks that shot as well, puts him low, but does keep Snip alive, and that's another gun in the game. And Vetso sitting there hoping that Eurofish can kind of help him clean up here. Vetso's going to take another shot from Snip, and this is quite messy. Can he get the ram? No, he won't bother. IS-3 is a heavy tank, and Vetso will get the finishing shot there as well, while Lucky Blast also drops down. Now Kazna crew, they've got 4 tanks, but they're all super low. Make that 3 as Fussy Eater gets the pick onto Vetso.
Nice 2 versus 1 situation there for Vetso. Does well to stay alive, and Fussy Eater taking some damage there from Eurofish. So it's a pretty close game, 3 versus 3. Rafik, you got to remember, playing the artillery, so it's actually 2 heavy tanks versus 2 mediums, and obviously those 2 artilleries there. I think those artilleries are going to play a big role. Obviously, Kazna crew needs theirs to try and take noMERCY down to a manageable amount. Especially, you know, those T-54s at range will really struggle to penetrate the IS-3s and the and the not the MX-51, just the IS-3. I thought Hyber, you know, playing that T-54 as well. So I think this is going to be. It should be noMERCY's game. They're defending. They can just set up in a defensive position. Kazna crew have to go forwards. They have to expose themselves in some way, shape or form. And that's really where their problem will become.
Fussy Idiot is going Arnie hunting, and he's going to spot Eurofish in just a moment. He's going to careen straight towards him, but his shot gets absorbed by the tracks of Eurofish. His second one will still connect, but there was a time, at least a moment, for Hyber to have shots towards him, but he was busy trying to take down Matt Peel on the other side of the map, that IS-3. Now, it's a 54 lightweight. In fact, 2 of them for Kazna crew up against an IS-3, a 5100, and that FV304 artillery. noMERCY have so much flexibility right now, and look at Fussy Eater. He gets the pick off on towards Hyber, and Nexus is all in his lonesome.
Hyber knew that if he didn't actually run out of there, Matt PL or Rafik would have been able to get the shot, and it would have been game over. He waited at 10 seconds like you should for the bulb to go out, but it was, you know, a nice shot there, nice blind shot from Fussy Eater to get the last shell. Really good play by them, but Nexus just left to, you know, try and make something work here, but he knows it's over, and Rafik makes sure of it.
Those artillery really doing work this game, and we saw even Eurofish coming away with about 800 damage on his FV304. Now, that's an interesting setup here that we saw from Kazna crew. For defensive teams, it's probably the first of its kind that we've seen, in that they've put a lot of tanks up towards the far eastern side on the southern bit of the road. Like, they really push their tanks up onto the high road in the city. What's the go with that?
I think it was good because, I mean, clearly Kazna crew, they wanted to try and get the shots onto Jamato. You know, basically, you know, if you're trying to do blind shots, you want to shoot as many tanks towards one spot at the same time, so you don't give away the fact that you know that they're there. They do that. They take Jamato quite low, 15-20%. But then, you know, it was a simple move from noMERCY. They thought, okay, Kazna crew are there. They've given away that position on the eastern side. Let's push through. They did so, and that's where the engagement was won quite nicely for them.
It was quite interesting watching Hyber sort of go after the RU251 there instead of maybe contributing to the main fight. But let's have a look at a replay here. This is obviously that initial sort of push in towards the town, and this is where they finally mobilise. They're sick of being peppered by Euralfish. Yilin gets the first shot, and it doesn't seem so bad for Kazna at this point.
I don't know about that. I think, you know, those two T-54s out of position. You can see the 251s coming as well. Then you got Fussy Eater there in the AMX 5100, and it's 3 versus 4. Then it's game over. I mean, it's a numbers game. Kazna crew don't have the numbers. You can see noMERCY just pushing forwards. Nice shells there as well by the Rafik, hitting the side of FKK Schnitzel, doing about 471 damage. So very easy job here for noMERCY. You'll see the HP going down severely for Kazna crew. And that's taking into account that they're 251. Jamato already down to 379 before their fight even started.
It's funny how susceptible those 5100s are with their paper mache armor to the shots of the FV304s. Just those shots coming in as well. You could see a lot of damage being shaved off those tanks. And look, yeah, the overmatch, they had it. They had the 4v3 in that top part. It's funny, sometimes water tanks can be... you know, can be just diluted down to that exact reason. And you can see Vetso here trying to make a push, and he had a chance, maybe, but Nevi expertly blocking that shot.
Yeah, he takes down Nevi and he takes down Snip, but Matt PL gets a nice shot onto him. A little mistake from Vetso exposes his side, and I think you'll see Matt PL just reverse out here. Or maybe not. I think it was just
he shanked it, actually.
Yeah, he only took one shot there from the T-32. So, I don't know. I think it was already gamer. Fussy Eater takes him out pretty easily. I think, you know, by that point, Kaz already lost. I mean, I think a big point, you mentioned it, you know, Rafik and that FE304, you got to remember he's sitting up on a hill. You know, when you're playing the attacking side, you've got to put the FE304 in a lower position unless you want to, you know, do something like, I don't know, push up with a couple of T-54s into the middle road. So when you have that FE304 on the upper ground, the higher ground, it's actually a lot easier to hit tanks because just because of physics, the shells land on top of the tank instead of...
You have assisted elevation angle.
Exactly.
On top of
instead of like skimming like a, you know, when you chuck a rock onto a lake, you know, trying to skim those rocks. I think it's called rock skimming, actually.
Yeah, I think it might be, actually.
So I think that's why you saw. I think a mistake as well by FKK Schnitzel to expose himself. Maybe instead of having IS-3 behind a house, put the MX 5100 behind there, and don't take 500 damage for one shot on an FE304.
Definitely a crucial point to sort of be aware of. And now, very quickly, Melly, the votes are coming in. Initially, it was Kazna crew all the way. noMERCY with a round here. Does that change things at all?
Well, it changed even before. It's now 96% versus 4. I mean, it's still pretty clear for Kazna crew.
Okay.
I think it's it has a lot to do with like being the absolute favorite in this round from a paper. And of course, the huge fan base that stands behind Kazna crew. But people, if you haven't voted yet, head over to Facebook and hand in your votes. You still have time during the first map, and the votes will be open until the second map starts.
Excellent. So there's still time, of course, for them to get their votes in and have your chance to win something oh so nice. But we'll be jumping into map in just a second here. I'm impressed, to be honest, with noMERCY. They brought back that round on defense, but now they're going to make it work on attack. Will it be that signature aggression, or will it be something different? Tank picks. What do we got?
I think we'll see a more aggressive stance from noMERCY, but an interesting pick is, of course, the FVK302. 02, the highest HP tier 6 tank, which still has decent mobility, obviously a medium tank. And I think noMERCY, or I think it was noMERCY actually, who picked up this one on Himmelsdorf, and fair enough, does decent damage, good HP, can actually bounce a couple of things. If you want to have a meat shield, it's not a bad pick at all. You can see noMERCY, classic move there at the beginning, trying to make a couple of shells, obviously not finding anything. But looking at Kazna crew's lineup, I mean, you got the T21, very indicative that Kazna crew are just going to play the standard, what's becoming the standard, I should say, defensive side on Lakeville, and that is have a spotter forwards, that's the T21, have the 416 defending from a higher position, and the rest of the heavy tanks spread around.
Well, we saw noMERCY try to go for some spotting, some blind shots, and all they did actually was reveal themselves and open themselves up to potential return fire. But they got away with it, and it's all well and good for the moment. At least Nevi, you can see, is set up here in towards the city. And for an aggressive team like noMERCY, a team that often wants to go at a team even when they're defending, this is quite a passive stance they've taken, only just starting to move in towards this city. In our first match, the teams are already ripping strips off of each other by this time. So Nevi and Snip are there, the IS-3s around the church building. Kazna well and truly staying out of this one. FKK Schnitzel, as you said, is going to be used just to set up as a bit of a spotter here. The same spot that we saw Rafik in the 2-5-1 earlier on. And you can see Yamto now having some shots towards the middle. Blind shots galore here for most teams, but FKK Schnitzel has taken a hit.
Yeah, I mean, that's standard. The thing is, you know, with this position is it's very useful when you're actually being able to peek, but if you can't peek, you can't spot the middle. So you have to gamble, you know, when do I peek? You know, obviously he's also got the binocular telescopes, 25% to view range. He's got to stand still for 5 seconds to actually activate them. So you've got all those kind of things going through FKK Schnitzel's head, and he's just got to get the balance right, make it all work, get the spots in the middle. But at the same time, if he's receiving shots at a certain interval from the middle area, he knows 1, 2, or 3 tanks are there. But you see noMERCY pushing forwards with a double IS-3. C54's there in the background. But I think noMERCY, they just need to be aggressive. And also, you know, MX3090, strange pick on this map. Very good at those, you know, hard and aggressive tactics.
Well, let's see if that's going to be the case here. Izne is a first line of defense for Kazna, and you can see some traces going over his shoulder. Because Ilian and, of course, Vetso are sitting up on top of that mountain. So far, Eurofish has taken a hit and not been able to return any damage. And these two frontline IS-3s for noMERCY are essentially unscathed. Somehow, some way they've managed to do that. And now a lot of them being lit. You can see the light bulbs on the right hand of the screen springing to life. And that was Fussy also ducking out to have a shot towards Izne. He's taken a hit. Base capture has begun. It'll be more of a distraction than anything else. But looks like there's 2 tanks on that capture point now. The time is definitely ticking down, and Kazna are just trying to reply with some shots as well. Rafik is really, really low, of course, in that VK3002M. And you can see over here, very interesting scenario. And he's trying to get the cap on. He will get taken down, shot through the building. And now they're going to push on towards Yamto in the middle of the map. You can see that happening. Kazna know they need to get rid of him as soon as possible so they can focus on the main force of noMERCY pushing in. This
is really good for noMERCY. They're exploiting the weakness of Kazna, and that's vulnerability to aggressive plays. They got a pressure in the cap. They also forced the 2 T54s because of that pressure to push in the middle. They had good setups to deal with the T54s, and they also blocked off that middle area so no one can go in there. No one can go up north. No one can flank. So this is going well for noMERCY, but Snip going down, once again, very vulnerable position, doesn't help them.
Kazna paid the price for pushing that middle road. They did lose Hyper, but now Nexus is in an excellent position to help out and get some flanking shots on. Matt PL pushing up, gets pretty heavily damaged, to be honest, without even firing a shot. When you see Eurofish, Izne, and FKK Schnitzel all up on the bottom side of that defilade. LD Nexus is still standing, he's still fighting, he's very low though. He's got to be careful about his next shot, but Ilian also able free to do a lot of work from the backlines here in that Object 416. He doesn't want to get up too close, of course. He only has having about 80 degrees of rotation on his turret or something like that. It's not great for those head-to-head firefights, but Ilian's still happy enough to go in. Maybe if he can get a finish on towards Fussy, it might work out. You can see him pushing in now. Not a fully rotary turret, but Fussy looking the wrong way. Turns his turret, but a little bit too late, and that is a beautiful gun, of course, on the 416, and it's going to do some serious damage. But Ilian gets 2 shots towards him and is forced to back away.
It's good for Kazna now, about 2k HP almost in the lead. They're starting to strangle the net on noMERCY. I mean, really, Ilian can do whatever he wants because he's got LD Nexus in the background just supporting him, the T54, and pretty much the whole of noMERCY are just tunnel visioning on him. Nevi finally takes him out in that IS-3, which he should have done eons ago, but it's pretty much game over as Yizne and Realfish push forwards.
Kazna holding solid here, and the aggressive tactics of noMERCY aren't really able to draw too much of blood on Kazna as they're free to move up, still with 3,200 health points. Nevi going to take a big hit from an IS-3, and what would you expect? That 452 damage is always devastating. He will get a bit of consolation before he drops down, and Eurofish is going to get the load first, and Lucky Blast and Ilian are going to go head-to-head here. It's going to be the clean-up overall. noMERCY reduced to nothing here, and Kazna holds solid on the defense, bringing it to 2-1.
Yeah, good play at the beginning for noMERCY, and then started to crumble. I think the turning point there was Snip in the IS-3 getting taken down by Nexus. I'm not exactly sure what they expected. I mean, Snip was always going to be in a vulnerable position. He should have stayed safe. If he had done, I think it would have been hard for Nexus to make the shots onto him. He would have stayed alive. Ilian wouldn't be able to make that move around the corner in the 416. And I think Matt PL in the cap was a good move, you know. Put a tank in the cap, put the pressure onto Kazna, block the middle off, do a lot of damage to those T54, so it's 1 versus 1 exchange. And then as soon as you see Nexus continue starting to peak in that T54, I think Nevi should have taken him down a lot earlier. So just good tactics again by noMERCY, but just some bad decision-making in the middle.
You talked about Snip. Let's have a look at him in a little bit more detail on this map, because it was definitely a linchpin here. This is when he pushed up with Nevi with those 2 IS-3s, and noMERCY are just trying to set up the net here a little bit.
Yeah, they're really just trying to execute their plan. You can see the VK and the AMX 1390 on the right side of your screens there on the minimap, pushing down towards the cap. They put themselves in there. This is a good start, you know. They're pretty close in hit points. They got good positions on the map. The Lucky Blast and Fussy Eater have got the left side of the T-54s. Nice. I like this from them. And, you know, Kazna crew are just doing the standard tactic. They're not doing anything unusual. And that's something you can really counter. That's something you should have down to a T.
It's a cute little spot that Alien actually has up on that hill. He's using his gun depression such that he can actually fire between just a gap between those two rocks as he gets up on the hill facing forward. So hard to sort of retaliate towards him, but he ended up coming forward anyway and trying to finish the job. So yeah, like you said, Kazna, a little bit standard from them. They didn't really have to do too much. In that case, that's kind of the bonus part of being on defense. This is Alien coming forward now, and you can see it's very much just a matter of cleaning up here. Does so much damage with that gun on the 416, but you know, this is fine, and we're not seeing any greater innovation from Kazna, I suppose. And noMERCY, it's like they have this incredible aggression. They have this fighting spirit almost, but it's not tempered. It's still a little bit unrefined, and they need to sort of combine that aggressiveness and you know, the keenness to take a fight with, of course, some good strategic background. Yeah,
for sure. I think they've got a lot to work on. Of course, I think, you know, Snip joining in finally for this match, maybe a questionable decision from them, because you got to play really the whole season to get into the kind of swing of things, get into the whole flow of how the team plays, the kind of way they make movements around the map, and also just the individual performances, because, you know, playing those training battles, it's not quite that whole limelight kind of situation for you. You know, you're not used to it. The pressure really does start to build. So I think interesting map there for noMERCY. Of course, it was their map choice, Lakeville. 3-1 scoreline for them. Maybe something they didn't want. Maybe a 2-2 was really what they were aiming for. And, you know, they need to really find and exploit Kazna crew on the next one.
Well, they do have a chance, of course. We're already with 3 rounds in. 2-1 is obviously the current score. So noMERCY definitely would love to go for the 2-2. And to do that against Kazna crew, surely they'd be happy about that one. But we know Kazna crew, and this isn't even their map, mind you, as well. So they can bank, I guess, on their Ruinberg play and probably still feel confident about it. But Lakeville, not a map that we have seen tons from them from. It's normally they're playing it because some other team has picked it, but this is definitely a good start. They got that attacking round, most importantly, maybe because noMERCY were too aggressive, pushing out when they should really be defending. But this is good. This is good from them. I mean, yeah, noMERCY. We spoke to Snip actually on the weekend. He said he's actually wasn't intending to be playing all season. He was just a stand-in, sort of stepped in. He does a lot of like the other stuff around the periphery for the team. So he's stepping up now, which is good to see. But as you said, a little bit hard sometimes to gel with a roster that is still not fully formed. But here we are in the last chance for noMERCY to get a round back up on this map. Kazna crew with 2 in the bag. Will it be worth 3 in the bush?
So we see the T-54s and the AMX 1390 pushing to the left side there. You know, quite interesting for noMERCY. I mean, they got the VK302. I guess their whole plan is to actually go for cap number 1 and, you know, use that VK in a pretty similar fashion, sit behind it, and really defend it so no one else can come in and actually get the decap. So Kazna crew going aggressive, getting the information. Okay, so noMERCY aren't pushing into that village, aren't pushing into the right side. Now we have to set up for what is probably going to be a western side, a slow valley road push.
Interesting to see that Kazna crew actually opted to push here. You know, the first round on any half attack or defense, often teams try for something crazy and then they go for a default. We were talking about this last week, and it's something we're starting to see become more prevalent. Whether this is special or default from Kazna crew now, they need to retract. They know. They've gained enough information about what's happening in the middle of the map to know they need to pull back. FKK Schnitzel was, or is, should I say, still in a position to get those spots out. Perfect spot for that tank in this scenario. Kazna crew, they have to set up. They will have some time, they'll have a bit of warning, but will it be enough really to set up their defenses in an optimal fashion, do you think?
I think so. I think they're going to be, you know, in plenty of time behind and ready to deal with noMERCY. You can see, interestingly, noMERCY are just sitting there, sitting tight. You've got 5 tanks there. You got the only one really out of position is Snip. This is very interesting stuff from them. Snip knows, well, noMERCY knows that Kazna crew will be setting up for a western side push, and he's just going in there on his own. Yeah, spotted. But really, does Kazna crew have an idea of where noMERCY are? This is a really interesting bait game for noMERCY, because Kazna could push forwards, and now they'll be doubting themselves. Oh, is noMERCY really over towards the western side? Can we push forwards? Or is it really noMERCY on the right side just ready and waiting?
Well, noMERCY are going to push out, and if you have a look at the minimap here, Kazna crew aren't exactly set up for this. They've got a couple the T-32 and an IS-3 over by that hill, but their defensive setup ostensibly looks like it's dealt for those eastern side pushes, but nonetheless they'll have some time to set up, and they have to do it very, very quickly. FK Kashitzel is going to take a shot towards them, and here come the T-54s thundering towards the rest of those tanks. Alien is there, and Hyber. Alien doesn't really want a close range fight. That's not what his tank's made for. So Kazna might just try and flex back around the corner, but Fussy is getting chunked down. Damto's taking damage. Matt PL's taking damage. Alien bounces a shot as well off his head, and this is working fairly well for Kazna right now. They're just pushing and pulling noMERCY around the corner. A bit of do-si-do, walking him up the garden path, in fact, and look at them drop like flies.
noMERCY should have just pushed all the way around. They should have gone for the overmatch 4 versus 3, but they didn't. They're very tentative. They're very wary, and that's cost them dearly.
And Rafik, the last man standing here, he's going to get jumped on surely. Well, in that engagement, he was the last man. Snip was left over here as bait or something. He didn't really commit to the fight. I like what Kazna crew did here. They just pushed some tanks in his direction. It's very efficient use of resources here by Kazna crew, and it's worked out a treat. Nevy's forced to back away, but he's got a very angry Kazna crew coming straight for him to lay down some of that signature punishment. He wanted to join the synchronized swimming team, but I think he probably had to get that one past you first. And you, my friend, are a hard taskmaster when it comes to that. Looks like he didn't make it, but 3-1 to Kazna crew in that map.
Well
noMERCY,
predicted.
well predicted. Yeah, brilliant. But let's talk about that, because it was an interesting way to go forward here. Most teams will commit all of their heavy tanks in towards that valley.
Yeah.
They don't usually push one out wide. We understand the idea of that. It's kind of cool that they're trying to do a bit of a bait game. But did it really work out, and why or why not?
I think, it did all come down to that engagement on the west side. I think if that had worked out, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's brilliant, such a strange tactic, I can't believe it worked, yeah, exactly, new meta, Lakeville, come at us, this is a brilliant stuff, we'll see this for the rest of the season. But it didn't happen, and I think it came down once again to noMERCY's, lack in the terms of World of Tanks, how to win principles. They push in here, and it's 4 versus 3, and FKK Schnitzel's in T21, and you see Lucky Blast stop. Giamato goes for a weird shot over towards the left side. Why does he do that? Matt PL, is it late? Why is he late? Like, this should be 4 versus 3. Those 3 should be dead. They don't push enough forward, so Vetsa's just like having a bit of a laugh, shooting the back of the T-54s. Yeah. And FKK Schnitzel even, kills Lucky Blast. It's just poor execution for noMERCY. And Rafik's like, yeah, cool story, bros. I'm in a VK3002.
What am I going to do here?
Yeah, like, what? Yeah, like...
Team, please? Hello?
Exactly, like, what am I going to do? Maybe the better idea would have been to send him forwards, so the whole of Kazna crew shoots him first, and then send the rest of the light tanks on towards the right side, so he can act as a kind of barrier and actually be useful. I mean, I don't know, I'm no expert, but that's what I would have done.
You're no expert? Why else do we have you here, mate? Please. You're not just a swimming cat model, mate. Okay.
My good looks.
Yeah, about that one. Look, there was a real crossfire going on there as well. It seems like the way noMERCY were pushing forward on that one, Vetso and Alien, or at least 2 players from Kazna crew each round, have been up on that hill. Yeah. They were in position there taking shots. noMERCY pushed across the face of them, vulnerable to shots, of course, coming towards them from the guys on the hill and the guys in front. Why don't you just jump into a fireplace and be done with it? Like if you think about
Harry
the way
Potter did that, it didn't work out for him. Yeah, went all the way to Diagon Alley, man.
The flu powder or whatever it is. So,
not good.
Yes, well, I don't know. I think noMERCY there, they went for something new. It looked like it wasn't very well tried and tested, and that's kind of the way it goes. Melly, first map's over. Votes are closed. Now 3-1 in favour of Kazna crew. Maybe not a super unexpected result here, but are we seeing even a minuscule change in the vote?
Yes, 3%. So, no.
So 97% now?
No, 96.
That's 4%.
No, 92. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It has,
so from 96 to 92. Okay. Still not 3 and still not 7, but yes, we're getting there. So 92% for Kazna crew. The vote's still open. It closes right before the second map.
Right,
so people will still have time to vote. Well, heading into Ruinberg, Kazna defending with that advantage and score. I don't know. Yep. People, if you know better, head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get your votes in. Predict the exact scoreline to get your chance of winning a bonus code. We're giving away 3 in total amongst everyone that predicted correct. And, well, the earlier you vote, the better your chances are of actually winning, because first come, first serve. You know how it goes. And people, keep on tweeting. Use the hashtag WGLEU to tweet us. We have a question, as already announced at the beginning of the show, and it is from Christo. He wants to know if you ever played against or with Gold Series players, and how did it go?
Well, as in like 1 versus 7, or?
I think just in general, maybe.
If you have a platoon with them, for example.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, most of these guys are my friends for quite a long time, 2 years plus, and I was either playing with them in other areas of World of Tanks, or I've been playing with some of them in teams as well. So yeah, I played with them. I know I join their training battles. I play with them on TeamSpeak. Have a great time together. They're my friends, so of course I play with them.
Cool. And I mean, we shipped you here. You were living on the other side of the earth.
Yeah.
But did you have the honor of playing with our EU Gold Series members?
Not with the EU guys yet. I haven't got my stuff set up here PC-wise, but the Asia guys, yes. I've sort of played with as a sub sort of for one of the higher up Gold Series teams, so managed to learn a lot and play a bit. So yes, I have, and it's a completely different ball game when you're playing with these guys. They really care about their stats as well. Yeah. It's like they're going into games with T1's like, got to get that Unicorn tonight, boys. It's like, it's funny. Like I'm sitting there playing my tier 8s. Like, yeah, this is great. But these guys, they're dedicated players. It's interesting to play with them as well. Where you make a mistake, you slip up, they'll let you know about it.
Oh, I bet they do. So people, if you have more questions, head over to Twitter and tweet us, as said, using the hashtag WGLU. And of course, you can send us messages on Facebook too. They will be answered. And if you have questions, don't worry. We will ask them throughout the show, hopefully, if there's time. But now we'll be heading into a short break, people. Enough time to to do what I just said, and to get some snacks and drinks, and then hopefully come back and, yeah, be ready for the second map. See you back.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGL EU Week 5 match day number 2.
Duet.
And let's chalk up another intro that I've messed up. Anyway, of course, it's 3-1. Kazna crew in the lead thus far. A little bit of hope there for here, finally smiling. That's what we have to do to make Ollie smile.
It's just a chalk up innovation. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Look, we had a bit of hope from noMERCY. You know, after seeing that sort of their second round, they sort of went for Kazna crew, and even on the defensive side, they sort of made it work out.
Yeah.
No, that hasn't really eventuated into much. They've still got that one round, of course, but now we're heading into Ruinberg, and this is a map where we vastly favour Kazna crew. Yeah,
I think Lakeville was a real chance for noMERCY just to bring out something strange and actually be 2-2 a scoreline. I think Ruinberg is going to be a really solid match. I've noticed a bit of a trend throughout the season with Kazna crew. If they're fairly confident that it's kind of a win-win situation. If they're fairly confident that they can win in a 5-1, 5-2, they'll pick Kazna crew as their second map. If they go into the first map with a 3-1 scoreline above, they go on the defense side on Ruinberg and they can win 2 rounds and it's 5-1. It's easy stuff for them. Yep. If they're 3-1 down or 2-2, they go in on the defense side on Ruinberg and they get some motivation because they're very good on this map on the defensive side. So, you know, they got both things going for them, and that's going to be very, very tricky for noMERCY to beat.
Either way, it works out for them. So let's have a look and see what happens in just a moment. Very quickly, Melly, this is the last chance, of course, for people to have voted. What are our final results?
Absolutely. The final results will be there when the map starts. So people at home, you still have time until the map is going live. So currently it's 93% for Kazna crew still.
Right.
And Carmen said that the chance that Kazna crew could throw this match is actually pretty high because they've done this before.
All right, well, let's see. Carmen thinks they'll throw, but let's have a look at map number 2 for today, Ruinberg.
Ruinberg, a mixed type map. The defending team starts the battle on the green, and the attacking team starts at the central square of the town. Bases are located quite far from each other. Both bases are better controlled from the village. It's better to attack the first base through the top direction with the help of several well-armoured heavy tanks. For the attack on the second base, it's better to use a more mobile setup and either play through the centre or split forces. In general, the map is not easy to play on. Teams often use blind shots and risky shifting of the forces from one flank to another.
All right, well, we're going to be well and truly into this one. We have already started, of course, over a minute in. What do we got here? Kazna crew, as you said, defending. Let's have a look at these tank lineups.
So we got the double LTTB, AMX 5100, triple IS-3 for Kazna crew, of course, Vetso in his most favourite vehicle, the T-54 lightweight, of course, and for noMERCY. Pretty much a full T-54 lightweight stack. With the exception of that T-37, the American Tier 6 light tank. So a very interesting lineup for noMERCY, clearly fast and furious lineup. You know, they do like to go towards the northern area, and that's where they look like they're going to focus 5 out of their 7 tanks.
We see Nevi on your screen here, and all he's trying to do, or he was just trying to do some work with those shots, but here's the rest of noMERCY now pushing up, and this is that strike force of 54 lightweights here. We've seen things go horribly wrong for teams on this push across. Let's see what happens here, though. A few shots, and oh, it's happening again. It's deja vu. Lucky Blast is getting wrecked there. A lot of shots going in towards him. They're trying to respond here, noMERCY, but it's not going to work. And before noMERCY can even get Lucky Blast up towards those houses, he gets taken down, and now Kazna can have their way with noMERCY.
Yeah, Fussy Eater's going to go forwards with the Matt PL. 2 versus 2 with the LTTBs, but the problem is Matt PL, if he goes through that middle area, he might take a shot in the side for the IS-3s. Eurofish and the 5100 will now join these 2 LTTBs, and really noMERCY really have to try and hold on as a little bit more pressure comes to the right, but they are being split up by Kazna crew.
LTTBs are soaking up a little bit of damage now, and Eurofish has a full clip of autoloader shells to let rip, and Snippy's his first target right now. You can see the health being shaved off of him as Alien and Hyper off to the side. Just stay alive. They're distracting Fussy Eater right now, and that's focus that isn't being driven over towards Eurofish. Even FKK Schnitzel is joining the party, trundling across the field on that IS-3. It's not the fastest tank, but when he gets it in position, it is an absolute beast. Matt PL is lowered. Fussy Eater is on his reload queues. He's even getting shot from behind as an IS-3s have gotten in position up towards their northern capture site. That's brilliant now as Rafik can only look on in dismay as his team is melted.
Absolutely melted into scrap. noMERCY really not providing any kind of challenge to Kazna crew. A lot of them are low, but not that low as Nevi, last man remaining, and Vetso does dispatch with him after what would have been probably quite an interesting 1 versus 1. Of course, we had to stick on the main firefight, but actually those two went against each other for quite a bit there, the entirety of the match indeed. But yeah, I mean, altogether, you could see what happened. We've seen, as you mentioned, that push up in the north, very aggressive. If you have the IS-3 in the middle and then also down south, you can get a couple of shots onto the tank that pushes across. Great focus fire from Kazna crew. They aim for one tank, Lucky Blast. Hyber pokes around, takes him out. Already they're one tank down after, out of the 4. So you can see noMERCY, you know, they know Kazna crew doesn't have any information on them because, of course, noMERCY haven't actually played this map before. But in this first aggressive movement from them, it doesn't really do much for them in the end.
Yeah, look at this. Time and time again, I see teams doing this. Pushing tanks up. This is super vulnerable. This is no man's land right now. Teams always losing tanks. Kazna, you better believe they have the setup for this. A team as experienced at Ruinberg as they are. Why would noMERCY go for this play?
Well, they've seen other teams be really aggressive at the beginning. I mean, you know, if you really want to catch another team out by surprise, one of the ways of doing it is just being super aggressive up into one position on the map. Really, you only have really 2 options. You either push north or you push to the eastern cap, and noMERCY decided to gamble with the northern side. Kazna crew had all the tanks in the right positions, and you know, we've seen Hyber in the LTTB always in that forward spotting bush in B5 area, and he'll just get so much information on those pushing tanks that noMERCY get caught out. Kazna can swing their turrets around, and you saw what happened. You know, 1.2k damage before the battle had even started.
I'm sorry, you cannot get away with that kind of stuff against Kazna crew. Or to be honest, any of those top teams, it's kind of cookie cutter strategy. It's kind of what we've seen even last season, where teams were always pushing up to try and fight amongst those houses, because what we were seeing back then is teams would sit a 5100 up there on his own. That's what we saw at Grand Finals, and teams were pushing double LTTBs up there. They're pushing 54 lightweights up there to try and take them out. Not the case anymore. This time, Kazna, as the defensive team, have just sat their LTTBs there and had a firing squad open fire across the field. It doesn't work anymore. No. I don't know why teams are still going for this.
And if it does go badly for the LTTBs, if they don't get the whole timing right, if they don't rotate back to behind the building, then you saw Eurofish. You know, he comes in with that MX 5100 and he clips. I think, you know, if noMERCY wanted a chance, then there was actually a moment there where pretty much everyone from Kazna crew were reloading. The 5100 was reloading. The LTBs had taken some damage. That was the moment when noMERCY needed that last tank alive. They needed a little bit of hit points to play around with, to push in, to take down the 5100, to take down the LTTBs. And then they would have been able to win it. But of course, they didn't have enough HP, didn't have enough resources to play around with in that situation. So it kind of went from bad to worse. And I mean, everyone saw how quickly he got dispatched. Also, Nevi in the T54 lightweight as a kind of distraction tool. Maybe don't have the T37 in the cap because you'd never be able to cap in the first place. Use that as a distraction tool. Have one more T54 for the northern push.
All right, well, the time is almost up for noMERCY here. They have to win every round, hence, to take this to a tiebreaker here, and that's quite a lot if your maths is any good. We're going to see them push out towards the southeast yet again. So no north this time, no ridiculous harebrained strategy of trying to push across. This is a little bit more standard here. But Ollie, have we seen any changes here for these teams?
No, not really. We see 2 IS-3s though from noMERCY. I guess that's the only big change. I think noMERCY, you know, thinking that T54 stack clearly didn't work, but Kazna crew sticking to their guns with a nice selection of tanks, and I know my personal favorite. Of course, you know, noMERCY being super aggressive now into the eastern side, it does give them a window of opportunity to take that eastern village area because the IS-3s of Kazna crew have to push off through that field.
So the 54 lightweights briefly set up camp inside that cap circle, but they've decided to join the rest of the force, or at least move out ahead of them and start making their way in towards this city. Kazna crew, though, has got it locked down so nicely. You can see Fussy had forced to back away. There were more than 2 shots aimed at him. Eurofish is on the corner. Hyper's in the LTTB off towards the side. And you can see that noMERCY is sort of getting up into a bit of an L shape here as they try and control both that middle road and the top. And they are getting that capture underway. It is going to force a move from Kazna here. The LTTB is Hyper really, and they're mobilizing. So is Eurofish, so is Easily. Even FKK Schnitzel bringing up the rear of that IS-3. Nexus is also going to push over. 10 seconds, there's plenty of time for them to do this, but they've got to be careful about the execution.
This is really nice for noMERCY at the moment. They're really putting the pressure onto Kazna crew that now they need to get the damage done.
Here comes the resets on towards Jamto, but it's already a 20-second capture timer, should I say. noMERCY is just getting gunned down now as Stiff takes some heavy shots in towards him. Yamto's half health. Nevi is still healthy, but the reset worked for the moment. But you saw they had 4 tanks on that cap, and now still 3. That's still the maximum amount. Kazna crew have to consistently keep getting these resets on, or they're going to find themselves losing the game. But they have position. They're up and towards that K0 as well. They're all along the road. They're going to be able to keep putting shots down towards noMERCY. noMERCY, can they afford to keep doing this?
No, they can't. Eevee should have pushed off in towards the eastern village. He should have been hulled down. He should have been using those buildings, you know, making the peaks around the corner, but he's not. He's just sitting in there, and he's taking a lot of damage from all directions from Kazna crew. The simple wonder rule from capping is if you get reset once, either push off with all your tanks or at least push off with a couple so you keep the pressure on and also you can do the damage.
Well, that's right. It's a very fine line about when you should push off and when you should hang on now. Now it's just Fussy Eater, Lucky Blast, not much Yamto. He just gets taken out by FKK Schnitzel and noMERCY. They've tried to do something here. We don't quite know what, and we'll have to get our experts on it for a little while. They went for another standard approach. It seems like this map, they haven't added in any tweaks to make it their own. They haven't made it suit their play style. They're just playing cookie cutter, by the book, and Kazna crew is going to eat those cookies for breakfast.
Nice. Do you have cookies for breakfast? I guess you could. I mean, I'm the cookie monster at the end of the day.
That's true.
I can't find any good cookies in Germany, but, you know, back to the tanks, I think at the end of the day, I think they should have pushed out of the cap. I think they stayed there for too long. After they saw Kazna crew had a lot of good positions, you know, for instance, Lucky Blast lost control of the 0 line. Yep. I think noMERCY should have taken Nevi, pushed him up, taking down Betzo in that T54 lightweight, had another T54 with Nevi as well, then you would have been able to slowly but surely A, encroach on the eastern village, and B, stop the resets coming in on the cap. So I think noMERCY kind of got stuck in the headlights there, didn't really know what to do, and Kazna crew could just get the pot shots. They could have won that with just Ely in there in the 0 line.
Things all changed as soon as that first reset on the cap came in. That's one of the most important moments here. So this is when it started, and you can see a lot of tanks for noMERCY were pushed onto this cap, more than was actually necessary in the end. And Kazna kind of had a fair bit of freedom to just take shots and reduce that timer.
Exactly, they have so much freedom here, but this is the point. Take Graphy, take noMERCY, Nevi, take him into the eastern village. You got Fussy in the background there as well with a T54 providing good firepower. But at this point, you know, you're never going to cap. 10 seconds is an eon. It's a massive amount of time for Kazna crew to actually get the reset. I mean, seriously. So I think just again, you know, noMERCY have the right idea. They just don't seem to have that, you know, last piece of the jigsaw to put it all together to make the whole picture work.
Yeah, it's right. They're taking ideas from here, from this stream, from this team, from this idea, and they're just trying to mix it together. There's no bonding agent, as it were. That's the players themselves. They need to be comfortable with playing this map. Yeah, and that's the thing. And Kazna crew don't mind eating cookies for breakfast because they're working them off later in the day, just wrecking this kind of strategy over and over again. 5-1, another really strong score for Kazna. This is 2 weeks in a row they've gone 5-1. Really, I mean, I can't blame really the fans for getting behind Kazna in the way that they have been when they've been playing like this. Speaking of which, Melly, there was obviously a little bit of time for people to respond. What's the reactions like? Some people surely aren't that surprised, but I'm sure there are a few Polish fans out there that are maybe a little disappointed. I
mean, they're still the champions of the past season, right?
Yeah, well, they are. That's true.
Well, I noticed in Twitch chat during the past 2 rounds especially, people say, noMERCY, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my god. But
you sure that was a Twitch chat, or was that just me and Mitch?
Both pretty much. Ollie, do you think that was kind of born out of desperation, maybe from noMERCY's side?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think noMERCY, they put a lot of pressure on themselves at the beginning of the season by picking up a sponsor. But, you know, you've got to consider, for instance, Kazna crew have been in the WGLEU since Season 1. They still don't have the sponsor. They've always said to us, you know, yeah, okay, like we wouldn't mind someone just, you know, giving us a little bit of perks here and there, but we still want to remain Kazna crew, and we don't want to have that pressure on us. I think noMERCY put a lot of pressure on themselves, and they seem to show the cracks right now, which is a bit of a shame. I hope they can use the next 6 match days, you know, to calm themselves down a little bit. A loss against Kazna crew still not a big deal, as you mentioned, the season champions, and looking on the best form they've ever looked, especially in an online stage.
And of course, we all know we're all former professional gamers. If you pressure yourself too much, then it simply doesn't work, and it's still like that. If it's 10 years ago or today, it's always like that. So people have a bit more fun while playing, maybe. Like, try something crazy.
Sure.
Well, I mean,
help?
we've seen a bit of that from noMERCY already, but yeah, sometimes so many people put so much pressure on themselves, just like you said. And having a sponsor means you're not only trying to impress yourself or prove to yourself or your teammates, it's now an external thing. It's fantastic to have these organisations get involved in esports, but and that's the positive side of it. But people take it seriously. You wear, on your uniform and stuff
You're
like
contracted.
that. Absolutely, and it's a big deal. They also want to, impress the people that have taken the time and care enough about them to invest. So it's a two-way street. And yeah, it can be tough, but that's all part of being a professional gamer.
Absolutely. So people, if you have any questions, just head over to Twitter, use the hashtag WGLEU to ask it. And maybe I will ask your question. And people, if you have anything else to say, of course, communicate with us. We love reading from you. And if you're there already, follow us on Twitter at WGLEU, same as Facebook. And the next team vote will be up in a bit. And I think we will be back after a short break for the second match of the night.